Brian, I'm very, very excited because Plum, the book's already been out, cracking book, great read. But now the TV series is this close to launching. And I'm very pleased to say, young man, Brian, that one of our co-stars happens to be in the building. Brendon Cowell, good afternoon to you.
G'day, legend. G'day, Joel. Go Fletch.
BC.
Yeah, great to be here.
Yes.
And, my fellow, part of my ensemble of Plum. So, yeah, you joined the list of, the kind of salubrious Andrew Joey Johns.
Yep.
Who played halfback for Newcastle.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever saw any of his games. Mark Spud Carroll.
Yep.
He used to eat potatoes before he went on. James Graham, equally good at podcasts at the Rugby League. You guys and Paul Gallen, the Sheriff of Cronulla. And now you guys have done a little cameo in
Yes, but we're under the alias Hamish and Andy.
Oh, yeah,
obviously.
right.
So we haven't told you yet. So
Yeah.
we've got the script, and one of them verbatim,
Yeah.
and the other one we just completely
Just went
rogue.
loose.
Yeah. So you take
Yeah.
your pick.
What happens in
Might do
movies?
an up late version.
Yes.
What happens in movies
Yeah.
if the director, i.e. Jimmy Cameron,
Yeah.
said, you got to say this, but then you come out and do it your own and it works better? Has that ever happened with you?
That happened with James Cameron, and apparently he really hasn't liked it when actors have improvised.
Gotcha.
But when I was on the boat and the waves and the dolphins and everything,
Avatar?
I ended up Avatar,
Yeah.
and I'm going back to shoot a bit more next month, and I ended up just extending on it a bit, and then he was like, "Okay, do that little bit you did again, and do that." And one of the Belgian guys on the brain bar, there's a thing called the brain bar where they're doing all the computers. He's like, "He never lets anyone improvise, but your lines are funny." And but then I went a bit too far.
Oh,
and
and
started like
yeah.
taking the piss. He's going, "All right, that's enough. Go back to the script." So there's a little bit, but he often say, "Give me a little bit of jazz at the start."
Okay.
Which will mean 5 or 6 seconds of making something up, then do the lines. And
That's good.
and I know all those like Judd Apatow's and that they do that. They're like, let's do one in the script and then let's do one where you go crazy. And I'll do that on my sets as well. Like, let's do one straight, and then if you want to massage it,
Yes.
because sometimes in the moment you come up with better lines.
Yeah, come up with gold.
So Fletch, I take the kids and Kobe to Avatar, the number 2, and I'm saying, "Oh, Brendan's in this," and a couple of them met Brendan. I'm saying, and then the whole show they're going, "Dad, where's Brendan?" And I'm thinking, "Oh dear, he's going to have like a 30-second part, right?" And I've pumped it up, and then all of a sudden, the last hour of the show, he is, and got to factor in their avatars, but he's one of the very few humans on the show. So he is the most recognisable person in the most watched film in history, our man Brendon Cowell. Where are you? Where are you, dirty mongrels?
Did he know? Did James Cameron write that in? Because it doesn't seem a word he would say, mongrels.
Well, that was my main.
Unless he's had one. Has he had one?
He does love us. He loves Australians and he loves
are you?
Australian vernacular. But one of my main jobs, because he wrote it as a 6-year-old Scottish guy, but he's American. Well, he's Canadian dude, isn't he? But a lot of it were like, "Badass, look out, that's the bitch," and stuff.
Yeah.
So I said, "Mate, I'm probably not," and also like, I'm not going to call a guy Doc.
Yes.
So I was like, Dr. G. So I kind of had to change cheeky little fella from badass bitch or something like that. So I Australianificanized
Yeah.
or, bastardized, ruined.
That's right.
And, but he was happy with that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it has to sit in the vernacular of an
Correct.
Aussie pirate, doesn't
Yeah.
it? But I also had to speak with a slightly broader Australian accent in terms of getting the international
Yes.
audience.
Yes,
You
yes,
can't
yes.
be too boganic,
Yes.
or else no one in America's going to understand.
That's right.
Train Spotting had subtitles. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you've got to. But no, it's very exciting, and being back there is so surreal. I did a scene 2 weeks ago. I got the job at 41. I'm 47 now. And we shot 2 and 3 at once, films 2 and 3 at once, but we shoved 2 out. We've got a bit of 3 left. I did a scene last week where I was 42 when I shot that bit, and I go out the doorway, I'm 47.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm a different person.
So what have they done there?
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens. You shoot a bit
AI.
of motion capture, then you come back and do it. And it's just what happens on these films where they shoot for years,
Brian, have you heard how he got the role at Game of Thrones? Do you know that story?
Yes, you were hung.
Oh,
You're
no, I already
blind.
had the role, but I turned up for the makeup call the day after the Sharks' victory, the greatest day
That's
of my
right.
life.
Yep.
And I hadn't been to sleep, and Mum's like, "Oh, you've just thrown away your whole career because I was just red,
Yeah.
drenched, stinking. And, when you're so hungover, you can't bring any stuff.
Yep.
So I just had my passport, in a tracksuit. I just turned up to Belfast, all those I got.
From London.
From London, the guy picked me up. I didn't know what was going on. I hadn't been asleep, and I turned up red, just stinking. I'd been singing up Cronulla all over Notting Hill for 18 hours, you know what I mean? With Damien Irvine, the ex-CEO, and all these kind of Aussies in London. I was gone. And then I walked into the bus thinking, oh, no, and the makeup artist went, oh, you look like you've been at sea 200 years, just come like that. And I went home to Mum. I went, and she's going, what did they say? And I went, they said, don't change a bloody thing. I'm going to employ this philosophy on every job.
Well, it's working.
Yeah,
it's working.
Exactly. You know what else is working? And you said this, and this is quite often it happens, where people really, really want something, and when they get it, they feel very uncomfortable about it. So you're talking about off-air, the Sharkies sitting top of the ladder, but you're finding it hard to enjoy. Where at the start of the year, all you would have wanted by now is Sharkies at the top of the ladder.
Oh.
Why is it so
it's
unenjoyable?
It's kind of like when someone you got an immense crush on turns around and goes, do you want to go to the dance? And you're like, no. And it's like the Shark. Look, I was watching Saturday night, and I've got a lot of Sharks merch, and I couldn't sit down. I've got my TV in my bedroom now, so my living space is screen-free. And I just started putting on different parts of merchandise. And by the end, I looked like I'd escaped like a Sharks halfway house where I was like stalking Andrew Ettinghausen, you know what I mean? And I'd go, and I just can't believe it because suddenly it's like, hang on, there's no reason why we shouldn't win the comp this year. We are that good, and that defence, we're not going side to side. We're going through the middle. Got these young big boppers coming through. The coach has just tuned them up. They all seem to be playing from each other. And you think, why would this not happen? And then it's just this horrible feeling. I couldn't get to sleep going, this is unpleasant. You know what I mean? I'm so happy I don't like it. Because you're so used to disappointment year after year where you go, what happened? And last 2 years with Sharks were in the finals and then we're bustled out, to use a tennis term. But this year it's like, hang on, we can beat everybody.
Yeah.
But it's not a nice feeling.
Big test this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chooks are absolutely flying.
Yeah.
And I think, looking at the origin selections, Chooks and Sharks, that's where I'd be looking.
Yeah.
In terms of two teams who are tuned up playing great footy that'd be hard to handle, I think I'd be looking at that instead of the whole Penrith Parramatta-y look. I'd be like Roosters Sharky look. Yeah. Because they're two teams that you wouldn't want to play. Yeah. I'd be plucking from those
no
stables.
pun intended.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd be going for a feathered shark look of the blue team.
Talakai hasn't been mentioned anywhere. He's played Origin, and he's playing better than he ever has coming off the bench.
Off the bench?
Enormous
off the bench.
You know, Fitzy was saying that he did a little athletics as a kid.
Did he?
So he's the best at when they do their sprints and their change of directions when they're training, get around the witches. He's the sprinter said he's the best out of everyone.
Wow.
Because he's got good
The
leg
only
lift.
thing is, because it's little athletics, every time he does a run, you've got to give him a green certificate.
Correct.
And you've got to give him a red skin.
Correct.
And go like this.
He was 21, though,
Yeah.
while he's doing it.
That's right.
Yeah, no, there's no reason why he shouldn't be in the team. And, I think, I don't know, like the whole Cleary to Yo thing, I feel like Queensland sussed it out. They're offside anyway. But there's something about McGuinness's quick play the balls. You know what I mean? There's
I got him in hooker.
momentum at lock.
He thinks he'll start at hooker.
I got him. Well, he's in my rolling team. Appy on the bench.
Just take the shine off the ball for Appy. Appy comes on and then he moves into the forward pack.
Because Liam Martin can play in the middle, and he has done. And in Origin, as you know, you've got to be mobile.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, everyone's offside.
Everyone's offside.
It's just about like the Penrith. It never worked. It never worked.
No.
The yo out the back because they read it well. You can hold them
I
down.
could see it coming, and I'm an actor.
Yeah.
I was like, here it comes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just pick it off. But you play simple footy through the middle, and then you have little zoom guys.
Zoom's the key.
You know what I mean?
No.
That's how we always killed them. And I still would put Edwards back there. I think he's more athletic.
This is a Rooster show.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
You've just unsubscribed from your
no
from your Rooster Shark.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's 28. I'm like, I want to give him a go before we're wondering if he's too old. You know what I mean? I feel like Teddy will be in there in one of the games. You know what I mean?
So game one, Tedesco out, Edwards in.
Well, just back to your point, isn't one of the problems with the Blues is we always played guys in different positions.
Mm.
Like, are you worried about this McInnes thing? Why wouldn't you want to put a hooker on as a hooker and stuff like that?
No, because he played hooker on the weekend.
Yeah,
And you just beat Melbourne.
yeah. Nice point. I think, didn't we have Blake Brayley as hooker in the end?
They played a bit of a hybrid, didn't they?
Yeah.
I didn't know who was playing halfback, actually. I think I was playing
was half the
halfback at
trick.
one point.
He's been terrific, Blake
God,
Brayley.
he's strategic. As Mal Meninga said, the genius of the strategy was in the strategy. That was my favourite Mal quote over the weekend. But it wasn't Fitzy's strategy, whatever he did. It was good coaching.
Yeah.
It was really good coaching. I'd love to see Hines Burton. If you're a Queensland coach, you don't care. You're like, those two guys will be in.
I love that combo myself.
I reckon Burton's big game.
Bloody oath he is. Mate, you go back to that first grand final Penrith won. He was close to the Clive, and he was a kid. He can handle the big stage. He's got the big boot if you need it.
We're playing him at 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're playing him at 6.
Critter
Remember,
outside
they all
him.
beat him up, and he didn't care.
Yep.
I reckon he loves it. And, this is controversial, but Cleary hasn't done it. You know what I mean? Let's give some other guys a go. I actually think it's an incredible positive, this whole injury thing with Turbo, Latrell, and Cleary maybe not being in the side. I like this.
Okay.
Let's go with some rep players who deserve it, some fresh young rep players.
Is this the first time, Sugar? This is the first time I can remember before game one's kicked off that we're underdogs for the series?
Yeah.
Oh, no, just about. I reckon it would be.
Usually we're $1.50,
claim it though,
$1.70.
won't
Yeah, you can't.
No.
Yeah.
Shawnee just said that we're $2.30.
They're $1.65 or something.
So here we go. Pressure's
And also,
on.
it'd just be good to have Nico and Bert. They're just beautiful looking men.
They
You
are.
know what I mean? In the 6 and 7. Just be great for the female viewership.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Hang on,
great
hang on.
for me.
What about Mitchy Moses? He's not too
he's
shabby.
He's spicy as well, isn't he? Game 2, whatever.
just
throwing
just
in.
on looks.
Yeah, just on looks.
Well, who's a glamour fullback for
And
us?
Cam McGuinness is there, so we're
Balance it out.
we're all right. Tell us about Plum. Now I've read the book, love the book.
Yeah, you've
can't
been
wait
a
for the
great
series.
supporter of the book.
Yeah, can't wait to see it. Are you confident about how it's gone so far?
Yeah, just to fill the audience in, the ABC kind of came to me about making the book into a series. So about 2 years ago, and we wrote the pilot script, and they commissioned the rest of the scripts, and then somehow we managed to get the money to make 6 episodes of telly. It was meant to come out early next year. They've seen it, and now they've kind of got the point that this issue of concussion, it's about an ex-player with concussion issues who starts writing poetry and starts communicating with the people he loves, and it's about men communicating, and it's also about, don't know if you guys ever faced this, life after rugby league, where you're like, hang on, my identity was this, the boys, suddenly, what do I bloody do? And if you don't get the media careers that you guys have got, that drop-off of identity, it can be very hard and on the mental health. So it's kind of also about that, about what blokes do. The ABC is so happy with it, and those that invested in it, that we're going to be coming out this year during the Rugby League season.
Awesome.
Which is just a huge coup for us. And they announced that last week and put the little asset out on the social media, and I couldn't be happier,
Did you speak to ex-players like to do research for the show?
When I wrote the book, I spoke a lot to Andrew Johns and Mark Carroll, and even a little bit that Shug told me about an experience of his in England. It all went in because I've always been one for thorough research and investigation, because whatever I find from the real deal, guys, is going to be better than anything I can write anyway. The truth is far more dramatic than anything I can come up with my vivid imagination. And Joey was incredibly erudite about seizures and epilepsy and the hits and the difference between being sparked and knocked out and all that stuff. And Spud told me a lot about his experiences. And I also worked with a neuroscientist, Chris Levy, and Dr. Adrian Cohen on the show, because I don't want to go into something that's a big, sensitive, complicated issue, not really knowing what I'm on about. And this show does not go out to say the NRL is bad or concussion is bad or anything. It's more about the human experience of a guy going through it, and about him communicating with those he loves, as the book suggests. But yeah, I mean, those guys were just so generous, and it just made it so authentic. And rugby league is a working class game about real people. The bullshit radar would go off pretty quick in footy. And we haven't made shows about rugby league.
No.
Or about rugby league players. And this is about ex-rugby league players, but I wanted it to be so bloody authentic that you guys will watch it and go, yep, That's the world.
Is there any footage of you playing? Because I'm just thinking of Matt Damon. Remember when Matt Damon was in Invictus?
Yeah, that's
How
right.
bad that was? Oh, he was terrible.
I remember Ben Mendelsohn in Mullet too, and he did a little bit of a sidestep. And I'm like, hang on, rugby league legend. And he's one of the best actors ever to come out of Australia. And you're going to get shown up. Luckily, I was firmly placed in the 16Bs at Caringbah de La Salle, and I was coached by E.T. and I played with Dykesy a little bit. Well, he'd come up from the age group below in the A's and play with our B's team and just kill it.
Yeah.
When we didn't have a halfback and stuff. So I can look all right doing
Right.
it. I was in How's That, playing Rock.
That's right.
It was
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm a 6-7 out of 10 cricketer and a 6-7 out of 10 rugby league player. So
it looks like you've
but luckily, it's about my son who's 16, Vincent Miller plays, and he's coming through. And it's me going, shit, this game's damaged me a bit. Do I want my son to play?
Okay.
Like Mark Geyer and,
The Storm are on the hot for him, aren't they?
Yeah, so
Yes.
we have a whole sequence down at the Melbourne Storm
Yeah.
HQ, and the Storm were very generous to us and gave us the whole
Oh, wow.
thing. And we went into the meeting rooms where God knows what kind of conversations I've had in there over time.
Yeah.
And they just opened the doors to Storm HQ, which is amazing. So you kind of sell it a little bit through the young fellas' games. You see his semi and his Harold Matthews grand final.
Oh, okay.
But you get flashes back to me, and also there's sequences that involve some great footy from around 99, 2000, which I think is when the Sharks probably should have won that comp when we had E.T. and Peachy and Brett Kamali and Dykes and, all those players where we kind of weren't that good till 16 again. So there's heaps of footy in it, but it's not a footy show.
No.
Kind of in similar, I don't know if you ever saw Friday Night Lights, which was about a college NFL team.
Never got around it.
That's
right.
You'll love it. It is,
Really?
I reckon, the best show ever made.
Really?
And it's about a college NFL team, but you don't see heaps of footy. But it's about what the game means to the town.
Gotcha.
Very religious town, but they'll sacrifice all their beliefs for the win.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And for the Dillon Panthers, it's incredible show.
But also, too, just the dynamics of the ex-partner travelling together.
Yeah.
It's very, very real. A lot of people resonate with it.
Yeah, he's got the ex-wife who was, she was a
The
wag.
Punters Club.
And then he's got his mates
cheerleader?
who he drinks piss with called the Coxless Four.
Yes.
A chat group of 4 ex-players.
That's right.
And he's got the new girlfriend that he's trying to behave well in front of, and the attention of the ex-wife who, when you're away from home, who knows?
Yes.
So it's nice and rugby league messy. And there's some nice rugby league drinking in it. But I'm so proud of it, and it's about changing, and I made a lot of changes to my life 5 years ago, and I think it's about how hard it is to change, and I just find myself I don't think I've ever been as proud of something as this.
Oh, really?
And watching
Well
it
done.
last week when we locked episode 6, I just, people say I can't wait to show you, and I really can't wait to send it out to the world, and whatever happens. But I think it's a beautiful.
What's
piece.
harder, writing a book or a script for a TV show?
Writing a book, it's very much on your own and isolated. It took a couple of years. I did it during the pandemic in London, but whereas writing a script is endless notes and deadlines and notes and notes and notes. So you got the network and the producers and the investors, and you get these notes. And some of the notes you're like, oh, God.
When you say notes, like they're saying, hurry up, like an email going.
No, I don't like that. That's a bit offensive.
Like amendments and...
Yeah, on all your lines of dialogue, all your scenes.
Who's that coming from?
And it's coming from the investors and the network.
When you turn around as an investor, you don't know what you're doing.
Well, they invested.
I know, but
so,
don't you have to? It's a bit like.
Well, it'd be kind of like if you were on now and you just talked about netball for an hour. Some of the investors of SEM might go, "Look, it's a footy show, Brian.
Yeah.
Would you mind getting off?"
We talk about micro penises here, and it's a footy show.
Well, that's footy.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Right.
But no, it's really, really pumped up, and we want to have some special screenings for rugby league players and get all you guys involved and see what you think. I mean, now you're in the cast.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
We just had your little cameo that we recorded this afternoon. So, yeah, really pumped. And SEN's always been a great supporter of Plum, the book. And so I thought it would be great to come in and be the first guys I talked to about it.
Brendo, outstanding.
How many eps?
six episodes. So great for the short attention span as well.
The rugby league
It's
players.
not one of those Danish bloody murder dramas that goes for 22 hours or anything. 6 hard episodes.
1 hour per
1
ep.
hour.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Hey, Brenda, before you go, just putting the fan hat back on, and of course you're
Yeah.
invested in this subject. Do you have any opinions as to what we could or should be doing in the space of concussion?
In terms of the fan stuff,
Yeah, like just as a viewer, like is there something that the game needs to be doing that you think that we're not doing?
I think like my research has been that, look, we never want rugby league to stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we want to keep playing. So maybe we need to do serious things so that it never,
Yes.
ever goes away, because it is the greatest game.
From a litigation point of view, mainly you're talking about?
Well, when someone gets knocked out, they probably shouldn't go back on.
Mm.
And they probably shouldn't play for 3 weeks after that, or until a medical practitioner has said, I see no shadowing, I see
Yep.
no issues, I see no possible signs that there is a living concussion, because it's the repeated concussion.
Yes.
If you're still a bit concussed and you get another one, that's when we might be talking some M&D dementia, Lewy body dementia issues down the track. That's what we want to avoid.
Mm.
Not we, I'm an actor, I'm a writer, but that's what you want to avoid. So I would say it might suck that, say, your best edge forward is out for these crucial 3 weeks, but who cares?
Yep.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And do you know what? Do you want rugby league to be going in 2047, or do you want him to play in 10 days?
Yep.
And I'd say 2047. So maybe we should get used to the fact that if they get a head knock, we treat it like a hamstring, because we accept hamstrings. I mean, how's
Yeah.
this week?
Yeah.
We go, oh, no, Tommy. That's heartbreaking.
Yep.
No, Tommy, 8 weeks. No, Nathan, 9 weeks. But everyone goes, yeah, fair enough. What about Mitch
It-
Moses? Well, let's do the same with the brain. It's a more sensitive organ than all the other ones.
Is
you know?
3 weeks in your research? Is that what the doctor's saying? 3 weeks should be the minimum.
3 weeks is the minimum, plus a sound medical practitioner
Scan.
doing a scan,
Gotcha.
doing the tests, and
Mm.
going, I have not been convinced by any management or coaches
Yeah.
or, I think he's fine. I see no
Yeah.
issues there. After the 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
suppose if you're Boyd Cordner or Jake Friend or now Luke Keary,
Yeah.
looking back on it, because they
Yeah.
had to retire pretty early, they'd probably say, oh, absolutely, I'd give that up. I
Yeah.
would not play for 3 weeks if
Yeah.
my career could keep going.
You know what, Brendan? So I've said this for about 3 or 4 years now. Every
Yeah.
year we get to the end of the year and there's a few dead rubber games.
Yeah.
And generally we do nothing in those games. It's a great opportunity for two teams who cannot make the 8 to trial a rule. Now, obviously the kickoff's an issue. The 10-metre rule at the moment is giving them more ferocious hit-ups and carries. The kickoff is going to change in some way, shape or form eventually. They tried to come up with a short kickoff. But my thing is, and I've never had any buy-in. No one ever wants to come to the party with it, but we've always had 13 aside for 100 and something years, 120 odd years. But the game is now, we're stronger, fitter, faster to cover the same ground on the same dimension field. I could see easily in 10, 15 years, a 12-a-side game or 11-a-side game where it's less densely populated. So therefore, you're going to have, in my opinion, less big collisions and impact. Like you don't have the same amount of concussions in a game of sevens.
Yeah.
That's the extreme side of it. But I just think the 13, 10-metre rule, kickoffs, it's all just queued up to
Yeah.
exacerbate.
I mean, and it's exactly how we sell the game. The train smashes,
Yeah.
the car crashes. Look what we did with Vegas. We went over and go, we belt each other with our pads. Well, I think the game's a lot more than just that, but it definitely is what you want to see. But there's nothing more beautiful than seeing a Jake Travojevic, splitting a guy in half
Yeah.
across the chest or under the ribs. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why it has to play around the head at all. I really like your idea. I like all your ideas. You're an ideas man.
He's an ideas man.
I think the Golden Point one, I think you had a couple of weeks ago, I thought was genius, where just take a player off every minute.
Yeah,
Just a
drop off.
bang or something like that in the 5 minutes.
Yeah.
2 players off. Bang, another minute, 2 players off. You know what I mean? Like one player each.
Drop-offs.
Drop-offs.
Can I just say this? What about, remember how they were going to bring this in? When we were playing 2002, we had the 3-man tackle.
Yeah.
Gang tackles, they were calling it.
Yeah.
So we were slowing the ball down, then everyone sort of started copying it as rugby league. Remember that they floated with the idea that if you tackled around the legs, you would get an extra couple of seconds to get up.
Yeah, treat it like a dominant tackle.
Treat it like a dominant tackle. that went out the window.
Yeah.
So if you're running at it back off the kickoff and you know you're going to get hit around the waist, that's been the biggest problem because the referees would allow the player to get up quicker. Because if you're around the legs, you're going to be caught on the ground and then you lose the momentum. Anyway.
We need to drop a few players off, us three.
Oh, yeah,
we need to go to a break.
We've got an
We're way behind, but we're having too much fun.
We're having a dinner party.
Peter, Plum, Lum. Thanks for coming in, Brendon Cowell. All the best with it, mate.
Be soon.
Time.
September, October.
When it launches back, come back. Come back when it's
we'll
launches.
get a training
Calluses.
going.
You've been going to the gym.
What's that?
You got calluses.
Yeah, I've been shifting some tin,
Yeah,
mate.
it's good.
We're going to shift to a break. Sorry, tourists, but we had too much fun with me and Brendon Cowell.
Go Sharks.
Break and back with more.